New week on Inside the Game, whether you love us or hate us. Welcome back in on the National Soccer Network. Whether you're watching on Roku, YouTube, or wherever else across the multiverse that you are watching this show today. Welcome back into the show. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky. Ryan, a fun weekend. A lot of things to talk about. Obviously, this is going to be a abbreviated week for us, so we'll dive into that here in a moment. But yeah, a lot of different things happening this weekend. Our social media page is kind of going nuclear right now, as I expected. As we get closer to the World Cup, there's going to be a lot more dialogue around this sport as we get closer. And I'll just say this: I think the UK folks and the South Americans and everybody else finally discovered our podcast, and boy, it has been a whirlwind ever since. But it's been fun to see the page continue to grow. But fun weekend all around.
Yeah, no, it was a great weekend. I was able to relax this weekend and have to do anything. Easter Sunday, obviously. And then, obviously, the big one. Michigan gets the dub against Arizona, so that's truly all that matters. My friends were like, dude, Arsenal lost the FA Cup. I was like, dude, I do not care. As long as Michigan wins, it's fine to me.
Yeah.
As long as the Wolverines get it done. And they did more than just get it done. I mean, you talk about straight belt to behind, man. That was unreal. It was a overall fantastic weekend. A little tired from yesterday, but no, I'm pumped for today, and not just the show itself, but what's going to happen again later on today, which, by the way, can we not have the tip-off at 8:50 p.m. NCAA? That'd be nice. Just do it at 7 like a normal human being.
It is at 8:50 again tonight. Is that what time it's at? What time is it at? The championship.
8:50. I just said.
I don't even. Oh, it is at 8:50. This is ridiculous. Anyways, but no, watching that game was. I didn't expect.
About sports.
Yeah, I didn't expect what we saw on Saturday. I mean, I don't think anybody expected that, but I mean, I think you can say without any hesitation that was the most dominant Final Four performance that I've ever seen. Never before have I seen a one seed that deep into the tournament, especially one that Ken Pom was saying was one of the best college basketball teams of all time. Just get, I mean, embarrassed. In so many different ways. And we actually saw an interview not too long. I believe it was the following day. Coach of the Year Tommy Lloyd ended up getting Coach of the Year, and he actually gave his props to Dusty May. He's like Dusty is the one that actually deserves it. He's like the trophy had his address on it because of what he did in that game, which I mean he did. I mean he outcoached him, and let's just say the things that this Michigan team does, it very much resembles what you see at like the highest levels of the sport. The full court oops, their screening action, how they play above the rim. It's just their defense. Everything about this team is just it's wild. It's wild to certainly watch. And they put that on display against Arizona 100%. But let's get into maybe the soccer portion of our conversation here in hour number one. We'll talk on Michigan and UConn coming up a little bit later. I think the biggest thing for me, Ryan, is just, and I'll touch on this when we get into it. I'm just anxious because we got to see a Michigan team finish. And I know we got football, right? I know we finally got that one, but I mean, that took a few years since 97 to finally get it done. And now both basketball and hockey are in a position to do it for the first time since the turn of the century. It's got to happen. It's got to happen now.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought you were like, let's talk soccer.
No, you're good.
Let's talk Michigan basketball.
No, you're good.
Real quick.
I was going to give you that. Sorry. I was just giving you that little bit there. But no, we can certainly get into the soccer conversation. I just wanted to mention that Bosnia song that you were showing me, the Italian song that you had playing in the background of your clip. I know we were talking about that before the show. That should be the World Cup song. I'm thinking we got to find a way to play that one into the show.
If they were able to include more, again, Salvatore Ganacci's got to make it. It can't just be the whole Bosnian song, but Salvatore Ganacci has to make it. It could be the World Cup song. I hope maybe someone else does it because Jelly Roll's a complete idiot and doesn't know anything about music. He just has someone else do it, and he takes Ozempic. So, yeah. Yeah,
folks loved your take on that. Yeah, big time. But the other thing I wanted to mention here is we're getting into our show today, and I know we wanted to talk about MLS Match day
Yeah,
6
Nate's
recap.
like, okay, let's get into soccer, but let's talk about Michigan basketball.
I guess I'm not.
A song,
I guess I'm not really in a
history.
I guess I'm not really in a rush to talk about Major League Soccer. No offense to those guys. However, LA has been doing wonderfully lately. But I did see a comment, and I'm gonna. I already got it. It's already lost here. Oh wait, hold on. No, I think I can go find it. But it was a comment from a European gentleman that's been watching. It's been watching our show. So I'm gonna give him some credit. It's Rigby2. Goes, sorry lads, I'm so bored of my fellow Brits moaning about the word soccer. We used to call it soccer until the 70s. Even in this century, we had a show called Soccer Saturday. You call it soccer because we introduced that word to you. And more than that, the reason why they went away from it in the 70s and the 80s and started calling it more officially football on every level was because it was becoming Americanized, because the National Football League was founded in the United States in the 1920s. So, who changed the name of the sport in order to differentiate between American football and what they had over in the UK, which they did call it soccer until then? They even had a show called Soccer Saturday. Who decided to change the name of it? It wasn't us. It was them. You gave us the word. We started playing football at a high level, and then you were like, oh, this is uncomfortable. We don't like this. The term soccer is too American. And then they went away from soccer and started calling it exclusively football. Now, it has been a mix of both of those words for a long time in the UK. Some called it, mostly it was the lower class that called it football, and it was more upper class, more established, I guess, people calling it soccer. So it's always been a mix. However, you can't call us and say that we are the ones that took anything from you guys. You gave us the word soccer. We started calling it soccer, and now you act like you've never used that word before and it's never, ever been referenced as soccer. No, you called it that for eons, for the longest time. And then eventually you got uncomfortable with it because you thought the term was Americanized. I think that's interesting. I think that's really, really interesting. I knew that the term soccer came from them. It was an abbreviation of what association football used to be, which when they first established the rules, that's what it was called. But yeah, they were the ones that invented it and used that term for forever. And now, I don't know, Ryan, apparently it's our problem. But I just think that this conversation is interesting because I think this is stretched now into 3 different shows. And again, that's half of our comments on our social media page. But I'm just reading the facts here. I'm not telling any tales out of school,
Yeah,
so
Soccer Saturday started in 1998. It was a staple for football fans in the UK during the 3 p.m. blackout period. And then it just continued to grow, it looks like. It kind of rechanged the name, looks like 2010 is when they changed it. So yeah, no, it's definitely, it used to be called Soccer Saturday for a long time there. For all the English, Scottish fans, all the UK, whatever is real over there or not. So yeah, no, it's definitely a real thing. So yeah, shout out to England for calling it soccer for such a long period of time here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Shout out Rigby 2 for mentioning that in the comment section. I just thought that was interesting. Definitely something that was worth reading on the show.
So we got one from Crack Duck. He says, soccer means football association, upper class never called it soccer. So, all right. Shout out Crack Duck. I like the name, by the way. That's a pretty cool name.
Crack Duck. But let's dive in. We can dive into Major League Soccer if you want. Match day 6 recap. Also got some news as it pertains to Inter Milan, but I'll let you lay that one out for us here, Ryan.
Inter Milan? Inter Miami?
Or Inter Miami. Inter Milan. Inter Miami.
I go, whoops. We have an Inter Milan?
Different team.
We're talking about them today. I
News
didn't
update.
know about that. So here's week 6 recap. We're starting to see again. I said a couple weeks ago, the West is the best, and that is for sure. And what a way to start it off with 3 red cards with Toronto and Colorado Rapids. 3-2. Toronto wins it. 5 goals. Here, let me read the stats for how crazy this game is. 5 goals, 3 red cards, 7 yellows, 30 fouls, 23 shots, and Josh Sargent, of all people, scores the game-winning goal for Toronto FC. And a couple other. I mean, that's just how it goes. And Zach Steffen, my man, just trap the ball, my man. Just trap it. Let's move on to a couple other games. LAFC, they get a 5-0 win. They scored 4 goals in the first half. That was super impressive over Orlando, or 6-0 rather. It was 5-0 at halftime. My bad. Against Orlando City, Son becomes the second player in MLS history to score 4. So there's that. Our good friend Greg Berhalter will be coming up to DCFC here in about a week. He took on Columbus, and there was one goal that separated the two, and that was a 17-second goal that was scored to give Chicago the victory over BJ Callahan and Nashville, which I hope one day BJ Callahan becomes the manager of the U.S. men's national team. He just seems like a good dude. The Whitecaps, Sebastian Berhalter and Thomas Mueller scored 2 stoppage time goals to secure a comeback. Yeah, they were down 2-1 heading into the 91st minute against Portland. They scored 2 goals, and Sebastian Berhalter, one of those as well. San Jose, again, another. I'm not going to lie, this league is really just turning into a whole bunch of goals and a whole bunch of red cards. So we had, 3, 4, 5 red cards this weekend, yet again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the water in America, but, man, does it seem to be brutal all the time. But San Jose, they get 3 points. They continue their dominance in keeping up on pace with LAFC, along with the Whitecaps as well. San Jose, they also get their 5th clean sheet of the season, so their defensive record been pretty impressive. And then Real Salt Lake, Nate's guy, Diego Luna, gets his first start of the year back from injury, gets a goal. And, I mean, if you want to go back to look at that goal, go ahead and look at it. It's unbelievable. And if you thought Diego Luna's goal was great, look at Xavier Gazzo. He scored an unbelievable goal as well. 5 games unbeaten right now for Real Salt Lake. And then, there's one city I don't particularly like, Nate, and that's Philadelphia. And Philadelphia lost again.
What you got against Philly?
I just don't like them. But
you don't like brotherly love?
They do not have a single point on the whole year. Just think about that. They do not have a point on the whole year. They have literally every single soccer team in the world has recorded a point in the year of 2026. And then you look at poor Philadelphia Union, who are currently sitting 0-6 on the year, only 4 goals scored, 11 goals against. But Western Conference, by the way, LAFC currently sits at the top of it with 16 points. Vancouver, San Jose tied with 15. And then on the other side for the East, Nashville's number 1, but they have only 13 points. So, again, the West Coast better than the Eastern Conference. So, I just had to give that shout out to Philly because, man, do they suck.
You don't like the brotherly shove. You don't like brotherly love or the brotherly shove. He's not a Philly guy. The only reason why I like Philly, I'm partial to Philly, because I had an aunt that lived out there for a while. So I did see like Roy Halladay at Citibank Park. I don't know what it is now
Ryan
in Philly.
Howard, all those guys.
Yeah, all those guys. Yeah. So that was a fun iteration of Philly baseball. So I always. Yeah. So I enjoyed that one when I was younger. But anyways, LAFC seems unstoppable at the moment. I won't say this about Vancouver. We can just do a quick rundown of this. Vancouver is persistent. They're scrappy. I liked the way that Sebastian Berhalter has been playing in the MLS. I wish he didn't look as flat-footed in international play, but again, in Major League Soccer form, he's been outstanding. Miami's been struggling to finish as of late. I think draws in 4 of their last 5 matches for Miami. I think yesterday was a 2-2 draw. Obviously Messi adding another goal, but just haven't been as good at finishing games out as of late. They're not losing, but they can't really find a way to finish. So I'm not sure what the missing piece is there. Do they have the legs to be able to finish? That's the question. I mean, this is obviously a much older roster, and they only continue to get older. The Seattle Sounders are right back to their defensive form that they wanted to be in. Last year, that was probably arguably the biggest reason why they were able to make the history that they did and becoming the first MLS franchise to win all of the major trophies, but did so over Miami. And a lot of the reason was because they shut Messi down and defensively they were sound. And so the Sounders are back to being sound defensively. There you go. And also Diego Luna's goal from outside of the 18. I just like the kid. You know why I like the kid. He's a spark plug. But yeah, that was a banger.
He's
I
an
I definitely
underdog.
went
That's why
back
I
and
like him.
I saw, yeah, that too, and I saw that one, and I don't necessarily love his chances of being on the World Cup roster, but I
Oh
will
no, he's
say, I
on
mean,
the roster.
I think,
He's
he will
100%
be
on the roster. When John and I go pick up a
really.
jersey and Diego Luna is on the board for it, yeah, he's on the roster. So
Well, he's in commercials too, right? Like there's a
exactly.
new
So
new
he's on the
commercial that just
roster.
dropped
It's
that
just
yeah. So
whether you
yeah,
want to like it or not, it's
yeah.
on the roster. He's on the roster.
Kids getting a lot of attention. So no, that's a look at our match day 6 recap. A lot of fun stuff. I do like the truth is that I think the MLS is, maybe because it's not as deep of a league in terms of just the talent, and it's not as methodical and patient as maybe the Premier or the Champions League. It's just madness. It's just goals and red cards, and so it is entertaining. You can't say it's not entertaining. It might not be the most talented players in the world, but it is still a very entertaining league. And so that's a look at everything going on around Major League Soccer. But the other part of this that you wanted to talk about, and I'm happy that you mentioned this because I saw this story drop over the weekend. Inter Miami will now open its new $1 billion stadium tomorrow. And even has a Leo Messi stand. It's very, you put in here, it's very American of us. On Saturday they opened it. So it's already open. But yeah, massive, massive project here for Miami.
Yeah, and doing a little bit of deep diving here on this was actually, everyone is like, well, this was supposed to be out since 2020. Like everyone was talking about 2020, when they were starting to build everything. No, I guess this goes much deeper. You got to go back to 2001 when they were trying to build this thing. They were actually a league or a team called Miami Fusion FC. They were folded at some point. I don't know exactly the year, but they were supposed to build that stadium back then, but the team folded right around that time. And all of a sudden, they were able to build this whole stadium. The quote from MLS Commissioner Don Garber said, "They've done the unthinkable. The stadium is spectacular. It's breathtaking." Yeah, no, it looks like an unbelievable stadium. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that can. I mean, look, I think in U.S. soccer, I think that we are missing that. Like every sport in America has that stadium. Like you have to go to. Like you have to go to Wrigley. You have to go to Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go to the Garden. You have to go to these places. Soccer, I think, in America is missing that landmark, I guess I should say. Columbus, that's definitely iconic because of all the Dos Aceros and all that fun stuff. But for the most part, we're kind of just renting NFL stadiums as it is anyway to play a lot of our USA soccer games. And there's not an issue with that. You want to get the most bang out of your buck. You want to get the most people to see and the most eyeballs on your product. But at the same time, we don't have like a soccer specific, I guess, like we don't have a soccer specific stadium, I guess, that like we truly you have to go there before you die. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Columbus is kind of one of those stadiums where, like, I've been there a couple times. It's a really cool stadium, and even when they were at the older stadium, I thought it was great as well. But we are kind of missing that iconic soccer stadium, and obviously we're starting to get there now with some of the USL clubs and obviously some of the MLS clubs. But I'm hoping that maybe that this Miami stadium could become that Madison Square Garden, I guess is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, the thing is that obviously with us, with the brief history of playing soccer at the high level that we have, and I know we can continue this conversation on the other end of break. We're coming up on one here shortly, but a lot of it has to do with when you look at places like Wrigley or Fenway, or even some of the NFL stadiums, right? Like those go back to, Wrigley was finished, I think, either Wrigley or Fenway were finished literally the day of or the day before the Titanic sank. Like if that gives you an idea of just how old these stadiums are, right? And how long the same team, the same organization, the same franchise has been playing in that building. That's what kind of makes it that landmark. That's what makes it that place. Like even Wrigley Field is considered a national landmark. Like before it's even anything to do with baseball, it's a place that the country has literally designated as like, this is a very sacred place in this city. And so I think it has a lot to do with the history. I think you can say there are certain stadiums and places that are historic in that way, but it would take more of that niche knowledge of knowing like, okay, like the where Detroit City the Detroit City FC plays. It's like that place has been there. It has some history. It has, some tradition, but it's like it's not a place like in Major League Soccer, to your point, which MLS is trying to keep up with the Joneses, which they need to, because they were so late getting into the game. You can dress up Wrigley and make changes, and they've poured millions of dollars into renovations and changing things up there, but you can change that but still keep the tradition. But if we're, all of these years down the line, we only have 30 years backing us. I mean, there's stadiums that have been around for 30 years, and I don't know if anyone would be like, oh, that's a signature stadium in baseball or whatever other sport it is. But I will say, creating, what they have, in the fact that, yeah, it is soccer specific and that Miami can play there, but it's also dual purpose at the same exact time. I said this the same exact thing. It is. But I said this about like the soccer team that's coming to Grand Rapids. Like, creating a destination is something that's really important, because if you create memories in that building, that's going to feed into everything that it is, right? So they can do a little bit of everything with this place. But I also feel like Miami is just, they have been and they continue to be the poster child of what MLS pictures this league is going to be in the future. Everything in terms of the way that they've built that stadium up, in terms of the talent, in terms of, just how much, in terms of the headlines they get, it's the Messi effect. We know it's the Messi effect, but there's a lot to like about it. I don't know, yeah, we don't have a lot of historic venues that are soccer specific, but I think, this is a cool breaking ground for Miami, and I think they can do a lot of good things with it too.
Yeah, it cost almost, I think they said over $350 million plus, which is, I think, a little bit on the cheaper end if we're looking at all the NFL stadiums recently. It's 31-acre development in a 58-acre public park, retail, dining, and hotel complex. So you know that they have to have all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, the stadium cost $350, but the overall whole thing cost $1 billion. So all the extra stuff, and I mean, obviously that's
and you're in Miami too, so everything's gonna be twice as expensive.
Yeah, I'll bring up that picture when we come back from break for the whole development.
Yeah.
But you talked about Fenway Park, which was kind of funny. We got a announcement from Parker who said Tufts men's soccer and women's field hockey team to throw the ceremonial first pitch at Fenway tonight at 6:45.
No way. Seriously? No.
Shout out to the Division III national champs men's soccer program. Coach Desatel and all those guys.
Let's go.
Shout out to you guys. That's a pretty cool experience.
So wait, who dropped the Tufts dropped the comment? They just dropped a comment, or you saw that on social media? Parker did?
Yeah, in their TikTok chat.
Are you guys gonna go sign the Green Monster? You gotta either that or take a tour of it, because I think you can walk into the Green Monster and see like the inner workings of it and go up there and everything. That's always been on my list. So congrats to you guys, man. That's freaking cool. At Fenway too?
Yeah. I missed it, Gavin. My bad. But he said leave it to Europe to pass on their problems to us. So yeah, I would I'd agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just look at history, and they left all their problems to us, and then we just put bell to ass. So, you're welcome.
Smallpox,
you're
guys. What are we doing? Yeah, you just had to bring smallpox over here, didn't you? Jeez. I'm just kidding. Let's do a read here, and then we'll come back and talk about just how shattered, just how broken the American youth soccer system is. USA Soccer. We're going to talk about that. Landon Donovan had something to say over the weekend. He always has something to say, but it's okay. It really adds to our show. So we'll talk about that on the other end. First, FC Bayern summer soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. Right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30, and it's BayernNSN30. You scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown. We're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
Gemütlichkeit, and welcome back to Inside the Game, here episode 264 on the National Soccer Network.
We got a couple things to clean up.
Ryan Glinsky,
okay.
Oh boy.
One of the British fans has made its way into the chat, TikTok chat, that is. But by the way, Parker said that they will be doing pro makeup and hair touch-ups done because we have to be there at 5:15. Yes, they will be touring Fenway Park and all that fun stuff.
Awesome.
So Jay Saunders 445 is coming to the chat. He says, "As a Brit, what are we talking about?" So I told him, and then I said, "You call it football or soccer, all the fun stuff." Why am I echoing so much? I have no idea why I echo so much on TikTok. I do not know, Jay. TikTok makes no sense because if you go anywhere else, I don't echo. But if you want to go over to our YouTube,
it's probably the room you're in.
Huh?
It's probably the room you're in. The room you're in has very harsh dimensions.
Yeah, but I don't echo
I'm guessing
else besides TikTok. I don't echo on YouTube.
Really?
I don't echo on Facebook. I don't echo on Instagram. I never echo anywhere besides TikTok.
Maybe because you're streaming in multiple places. I don't know.
So, Jay, if you want to head over to our YouTube channel, National Soccer Network, if you want to head over to our Roku channel, National Soccer Network, Facebook, Instagram, we're live on all that too. But so I said, what do you watch? Or what do you call it? Soccer, football, talking about the youth game. Parker says he calls it soccer, but football when he's watching Manchester United. So he calls it soccer everywhere else. And then Jay says it's always been called football. And then he says, I said, you guys came up with the word. He says, why do you call American football football? Nate can go down the history lesson if you want.
Yeah. It started off as rugby football. And the reason being was because Yale, I believe it was Yale, and I believe the other team was Rutgers or Princeton, I can't remember. But one played a variant of the game of what we call soccer, that had like pauses in it. Meanwhile, the other side played more of a variant of the sport of rugby, which obviously involved tackling and 15 players on the field versus obviously 11. I know there's rugby sevens, but obviously when you play with the full team, it's 15. And so it was just like, we were literally just like trying things out because college sports was a brand new concept in the US at that time. Like we had just started playing college sports. So like we're trying things out. And eventually they came together and they settled on the rules of what would be known as rugby football, which looked a lot more like rugby than it does football now. It was just a big pile of bodies that just moved up and down the field. If you ever watch old film, that's essentially what it looks like, So that obviously gave way to the different rules, and we got rid of the rugby part of the name of it because it didn't really resemble rugby anymore. Now, we didn't call it American football. We just called it football. And then obviously as our world became more interconnected and social media became a thing, not social media necessarily, but we just, eventually once it got popular enough, that was my whole point. Once the term got popular enough in the United States, then you guys were like, whoa, our sport's been football the whole time. What do you mean? You know what I mean? So that's the hypocrisy side of it that I'm like, y'all, it's not ridiculous that we call it soccer. We didn't just like invent it out of nowhere. By the way, that's not the first sport that's come over here that we've changed the name of. Y'all call it rounders over there. We call it baseball here, and baseball I think has grown to be a little bit bigger than rounders ever was. So just putting that out there. But good hey, I mean, you guys competed in the World Baseball Classic. They were all Americans, but you still got your name out there. So
all right, Jay said, fair enough. I mean, you hardly kicked the ball. How many times in a match do you kick the ball? A minimum of 2 times.
In football?
Yeah, but if we're being a minimum of 2 times, I'm just saying the kickoffs. Minimum of 2.
Oh, that's true.
Because maybe people
kickoffs,
go for it on
punts,
down, maybe there's turnovers,
3-pointers,
so
extra points.
I would say I'd call it throw ball, handball, pigskin, gridiron. Let's see how many.
Someone said egg ball. Someone said egg ball on social media the other day, and I was like, egg ball is actually kind of entertaining. I like egg ball. The egg ball championship, the egg bowl. That's actually already a game. That's Mississippi and Mississippi State. So I don't think we can take that one. But
so it is saying on average, an NFL kicker kicks the football 7 to 9 times a game. So you're thinking about 14 to 18 times a game. I would say we kick the ball in terms of punts, extra points, kickoffs, field goals.
And like in rugby, right? Like, you know, you kick the ball to for possession purposes and for field position. It's a big thing. Like, you got to be able to do it. It's the same thing in football. Only obviously you have pauses in between plays, a little bit different. But no, there's a kicking element involved for sure. But no, I understand where he's coming from. But
he says, what
the hell else would you call it?
Just teasing. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. But also, what else? We talked about Trump changing the name of it. What the hell would he change it to? Just add American on the front of it? I mean, I guess if you want to differentiate that way. You want to get into Landon Donovan a little bit. We're gonna get caught up in this conversation the entire 2 hours if we let ourselves go with this.
Yeah, I would say let's probably do that.
All right, let's get into it. Here, topic number 2 of the show the other day. Landon Donovan had some stuff to say over the weekend. Let's take a listen.
Okay, thanks for the heads up, my man. We didn't know we were going straight to it.
Yeah. Youth soccer in this country is a disaster. And so you have all these youth clubs. I don't know if kids ever played, or youth sports.
Yes.
Charge you crazy fees. It's all about winning. The kids get left behind because the clubs want to make money. The coaches want to make money. They want to win, and the kids don't develop. And now we're seeing sort of the fruits of that. I played in Germany when I was 17. The guy who coached our under-16 team was 60 years old and had been doing it for 25 years. He wasn't trying to be the first team coach. He was one of their best coaches, and they wanted him with the 16-year-olds, not with the pros. They wanted those kids developing and getting better.
Right.
And we do it opposite here. The worst coaches are coaching our 8 and 9-year-olds, and they're not learning anything, and they're not loving the game. So it's just totally backwards.
Well, frequently it's also a
Landon Donovan on the Rich Eisen show talking about youth development in soccer in the United States. And I'll start off here, Ryan. This is something that we have been harking on since this podcast began. And to Jonathan Turner's...
He says, FYI, Rounders is more in school. We have it baseball and call it baseball. We call it baseball.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. If you ever come to the United States, go to a baseball game during the summer. It's fun. Despite what Ryan Glinsky tells you, he'd rather watch it at home or on a lake somewhere. But,
I said I'd rather be on a boat.
People like me.
I'd rather be on a boat, having a couple beverages, blast some country music.
That's fair. That's
blast
fair.
Any type of music that'll make
Jelly Roll? Jelly Roll?
No. Why would I ever play Jelly Roll? That guy stinks. I'm waiting for Schrock to pull up here soon. But yeah, no. It's
we'll probably pull up here shortly.
No.
But no,
why would I have baseball when I could just sit on a lake, enjoy it, and just watch the highlights on my phone or on Twitter later? Just saying.
I do miss.
There's 162
I miss
of them.
days.
I think I can miss 8 or 9 of them on a.
I'll give you that. I respect the people who come back every single day because I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you. I can't do it. I broadcast the game. I don't even know how they do it. But anyways, we've talked about this since the show began, and obviously JT was far more entrenched in the experience than I was. So a lot of the stuff when it came to development in the United States, when it came to this sport, was shocking to me. First of all, I was much like Rich Eisen was, well, we have high school and college soccer. You know what I mean? They just follow the same pathway that everybody else does, without even realizing in that statement that I just basically told everybody that I know nothing about the way that this game moves in the United States, because it is much more of a capitalistic venture than I ever gave it credit.
Hey, appreciate the follow, Jay. Appreciate it, my man.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks, Jay. And everybody else that gives us a follow here on this show. But this is the thing that we've always talked about, and just how expensive the game is, but more importantly than that, the people who are, quote, developing these kids in the U.S., developing is such an interesting word, because what it actually means, not a lot of people know. You can claim to be developing kids, but in reality, all you're doing is just convincing their parents and filling their heads with these lies that somehow their kid is more talented than what he is. And honestly, if I'm someone that, if I want to make money, right, and if I want to make sure that I can continue to do this and coach these kids and that my business continues to strive and that I don't have to worry about the money component of it, it would be a lot more advantageous to me to go after the parents who I know that have the means to be able to pay for all the dues, pay for all the travel, pay for all the things, and even actually pay extra money to have their kid do this, that, or whatever, versus going after the kid whose parents can't afford it because it's good for business. And everything as it pertains to the sport in the U.S. is so much a business in that way. And we have to, again, generate the money and convince the parents and the families that have the means to do it to continue to stay with us, because it helps keep the doors open. It helps keep the lights on and everything else like that. But as we've seen so many times throughout the course of this game, and it's not necessarily, oh, we got to let the poor people play and then it'll change everything. That's not it. It's simply access and availability to this game, but also an emphasis on actually developing and not just, extracting what you want, which is their pocketbooks. The fact that we scout kids as young as 6, 7 years old in this sport.
He did that on purpose.
What? Who?
He did that on purpose. Don't lie.
What did I do on purpose?
You said
we
scout them from 6 and 7 years old. Come on now. Come on.
Oh, my
goodness. You did that on
purpose.
No,
I didn't know. I didn't
we
do it.
scout them as early as 6 and 7 years old, and then he's gonna act like, yeah, we know the game there. We know the game there.
Well, just get it. Just get it out of the way. Just do it. Come on.
God, I hate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right. That thing's
okay,
never gonna die.
Real quick. Again, this is a question for you, Nate, because I have not been a part of the show for as long as you have, obviously. But Jay was asking about, do you have guests come on and talk, like debates or just talking in general? I said we usually have coaches come on the show, but we haven't had anyone from the audience come on the show. And I said that'd be a question for you, because I feel like we have had that in the past before I got here.
No, we didn't. We actually joked about having live callers or people call into the show before, but we never had as much of a live audience as we do now. We had a couple of people that were like loyal and would listen every day, but no, we didn't have like people dropping in from time to time, which I think this is the first time that we've had, like, I think this many people comment this early into the show. So, clearly we're moving in the right direction. So
Jay was asking, he says, yeah, like if I wanted to come and talk about what you guys are talking about instead of writing or limiting to, I guess we just have to ask John about that. But
whatever the technology looks like, I mean, even if we could get like a caller and just do like 3 or 4 minutes, or have them, and then we can yell at them and berate them the way they do in sports media here in the U.S. That'd be great, man. Just start yelling at people.
Yeah, no, I guess we have to ask our boss about it.
Yeah, boss.
Yeah, he'll be in after the show, so we'll ask him for sure. And then again, you follow us on TikTok, and then we'll drop you a follow back. So we'll DM you, I guess, on TikTok. And Trock, by the way, is in the chat. Greetings. He says, I don't like the 6'7" either. I am with you. Sorry, we got totally sidetracked there.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
TikTok can request people to come on. Okay, that's right. Okay, so the difference is, Jay, is we're live like in 5 different places, like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Yes, we could if we did a strictly TikTok live show, yes, we could invite you to come on live, which I do, by the way. I do a TikTok live, I want to at least just about every single day. So yeah, we could do that too if you want, where you can just come on the TikTok live with me, just me. So yeah, no, I'd be down for that too.
Yeah. Well, we could do dual TikTok lives. I mean, there's you can do 2 hosts, and we could do audio setup and everything if we ever wanted to do.
I've been watching.
Kind of like an impromptu live show, maybe in one of because I know we're not so. We'll get into this announcement later on, but we're going to have some shows off this week. So maybe that's something we can do in the interim. Just do like an hour on live together and just answer questions and get after it. But no, so anyways, what it seems like to me sometimes, Ryan, it almost seems like predatory in the way that we go about not only recruiting kids, but getting kids into these places and again, getting the most money out of them. Because not only is it only the kids who can afford it, but we're filling these players' heads with lies and false hope way early on when they haven't developed yet. We don't know who they're going to be yet. And the biggest problem to me, Ryan, when it comes to the money component, because everybody complains about money, but unless you actually put it into context, it's really hard to understand why it's such a big deal. Like, okay, you want to call soccer expensive in the U.S., and this is why the most talented players aren't getting exposure. Okay, well, what does that actually mean? Because hockey is expensive, right? I feel like hockey, and more than any other sport in the world, it's like dad played and now I'm playing. Like there's more of that in that sport than any other sport, I feel like, ever.
Look at the Tkachuks, look at the Hughes.
Yes, yeah, all of them. Hockey is extremely expensive, but we're still competitive in it, you know? So, but our development is better. You look at baseball, right? Extremely expensive. Little League has died, unfortunately. It's not dead yet, but it is dying because even here in Grand Rapids, we used to have like 4 different Little Leagues. I think we have 2 now, right? Because it's just like, again, like, well, if your kid wants to do anything in life, he has to play travel. He has to play with the Flames or the Diamonds or Elite or whoever the hell. Right. But it's Bush League. It's just, again, designed to make you pay more money. There are a lot of different sports in the U.S. that are very expensive. Soccer, in terms of competitive rates with other sports, I'm sure it's probably comparable to a lot of sports. However, it changes, like you said on our show, when you look across the pond. And I was listening to something a little bit earlier, you know, a couple of days ago, while I was making a drive down to South Bend, and I forget what show it was, but they were talking about how expensive it is to play, let's just say in England. Like, let's just use England as an example. I believe to play an entire year of travel soccer / football in the UK, it's something like what would be the equivalent of like 250 American dollars a year to play an entire year of club soccer. I could have 5 kids and pay for all of them to play an entire year of soccer. And by the way, have actual guidance that makes them actually better at the game, more technically sound, more knowledge, more background, more education, more experience. And obviously the cultural thing plays into that a lot. But if you're wondering why more American families can't afford to have their kids play this sport, and some of the best, most talented players in the communities that sometimes are forgotten about, you know, the predominantly Hispanic communities, the inner cities, these places where you are going to find those diamonds and those kids that can really be something to change the overall landscape of male soccer in the United States, simply can't do it because the difference between what it is in certain places like Europe, which is, again, $200 a year. I'm not kidding. I could have a family of 5 and pay for all of them to play a full season. Here in the United States, you want one kid to play, have fun donating plasma and maybe picking up some extra shifts on the weekend as a bartender, because that might be able to pay for the amount of travel that you're doing, because for whatever, God knows whatever reason, you have a freaking tournament in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Like, what? Why? Like, this, and this is the thing that's going to get me pissed off about this, because not because I have a kid who plays, but because I know people who play. And one of them, she works for the West Michigan Whitecaps. You know, so I work with her during the summers, you know, in baseball. Her name's Leia. Her kids play. And she's like, this is utterly ridiculous. Why are we traveling 3 states away to play a team that's down the damn road? Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we traveling across the country to play freaking like 12U? What the hell are we doing? Like, this needs to be a regional approach. We need to take the extreme amount of money that it costs these families out of the equation. And it's not just about making soccer more available, but if you make it more available and more people become interested, then the popularity of the sport begins to grow. And then maybe, just maybe, that little kid, Nate Wangler, that was playing soccer at 6 years old, maybe at that point, instead of deciding to go play all of the other sports that his heroes played growing up, maybe he'll decide to stick around in soccer because his parents are like, this is so reasonable from a price perspective. Sorry, I'm choking over here. I'm getting so passionate. Maybe they realize, because from a financial perspective, they're like, we can keep him in the sport for as long as we want to keep him in, as long as he loves it. And I didn't say it. I liked it. I mean, I always liked the physicality part of it. I like knocking kids over, which is not, conducive for playing the sport of football, soccer. But it is in my mind, restructuring the whole thing is the only way. Unfortunately, that means you're going to have to tell a lot of really high money making people who have made it a successful career out of convincing these parents to spend all this money that, sorry, you can't do that anymore. But it's going to take the states cracking down and being like, we have to make this more, in USA Soccer saying, we have to make this more of a regional approach to the game. We can no longer operate the way that we are right now, because it's just too much damn money. It's too much money, and you can't compete with the other sports if you're demanding more money or a competitive rate with them. You just simply can't.
So I would disagree partially with what some of you are saying. Yes, I have been in tournaments myself where I could have just played the team just 40 minutes from my house, but instead drove to showcases. But I will say this: most of the sport is pretty regionalized. It really is. Like if you were to go to ECNL and academies, it's for the most part it's pretty regionalized. Where you get a little bit out of control is where you again, sometimes in my experience, sometimes the parents want to have a trip and they fundraise money and they put money together and they go out west, not Iowa West, Las Vegas West, and that's what my team did. So yes, sometimes that is true. But there's been times where I've gone to Ohio and I played teams from Michigan, and that's happened. But for the most part, the league is the travel soccer for the most part is pretty regionalized. Like ECNL, MRL, which I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but MRL when I was playing was the Midwest region, and then eventually, obviously, there gets to a point where you get to finals and you get to like the national finals. Obviously, you have to travel for that because you're playing people from all around the country. Yeah, that happens all the time. But I think with the aspect that it comes down to is of why the sport is so expensive. There's a couple Schrock comments I want to get to in a little bit, which are kind of funny. One of them is about you, Nate. I think it's kind of funny. But again, there's a lot of other costs when it comes to this thing. Some of these teams, this is their career is coaching youth soccer, whether they want to admit it or not. That some of these people, that's their career is youth soccer. That's just their job. Like they don't have a 9-to-5 job.
That's what I'm saying. It's good business practice. Yeah, right.
And
it's good business
for some
practice.
of them, well, then you also have to go through. To get your club jerseys. You might have to go through a big brand like Adidas or Nike or Under Armour to go get your soccer jerseys. And we know those companies aren't going to lower their prices anytime. Yeah, you might get a discount for group prices and all that. So you got to cover that cost as well. Cleats aren't cheap. Shin guards aren't cheap. Like everything about the sport is super expensive. And it's just about every single sport here in America. Hockey, football, baseball. Everything is so expensive. So, this is going to happen. In order for the youth game, this is where I think the difference between the youth game and everything else is, I think at a young age, I think people treat this thing as like life or death. Like, dude, it's a 9-year-old, it's a 10-year-old soccer game. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
When I was coming up playing youth soccer, it was always kind of like for a minute there, it was really all about like how to play the right way, how to develop the right way. Obviously, you want to win. You're lying to yourself if you don't want to win. Like that's just a lie. We play sports to win stuff and be competitive. But for a while there, when I was like 12, 13, 14, it felt like my club and my coach was pretty good at like, how do we get you guys to play the right way? How do you develop? And that was kind of the case. But then once you get older, obviously it's about like once you get to the 17, the 16, the 18, it's about win. But I also think there is a certain aspect of, it could be certain coaches, it could be certain clubs where it's a win at all costs. And this isn't just a soccer thing either. And that ruins a lot of kids' experience, and it ruins a lot of people's, enjoyment of the sport. And that's why some of them get into youth sports is to, we want to win this tournament. We want to win a showcase, this, and post it on Facebook so our friends and family know what the kid's up to. Dude, look, it's at a certain point, yes, winning is awesome. And I enjoy it. And I love winning tournaments when I was 8, 9 years old, 10 years old. But in the grand scheme of things, none of that shit matters. It doesn't matter if you won that cup as an 8-year-old or that tournament as a 10-year-old. What matters is at the end of the day when it really matters, you get into the high school ages, you get into college, you get into academies or pros. That's what truly matters. And I think that there is a certain aspect where kids don't get the enjoyment of the sport. And that's what Landon Donovan talked about is, there isn't an enjoyment with the sports, and we just got to let the kids enjoy themselves. But then again, this is the quotes I wanted to get to. Schrock, Travel Ball has killed it, which I wonder if ESPN will transition to broadcasting Perfect Game Championships instead of the Little League World Series, which will be sad, but could be the reality. That is the key to play where the development is good. That's where Travel Ball tends to kill Little League, but can be similar in the way. And this was in the middle of a Nate rant. Oh boy, it's Nate's turn for a rant. Grabs popcorn.
Yep, for sure. It is. It's one of my favorite things to do, man. I love ranting in the morning. I get it all out. So like the rest of the day, I'm like, I'm good. I said my piece. The other thing that I'll say, you know what I think will fix that, Ryan? An actual pyramid. An actually like solid top to bottom pyramid in the United States where we understand what the levels are and what we need to pass through, because when you look at some of the other sports and how they're structured, you want to win, obviously, but you realize that along the way that development is the most important thing because there is a clear pathway laid out ahead of you, which again is just something we just don't have. That's what's hard because it is the Wild West. And so you can claim that you're the winner of the UPSL, and that's the biggest thing in your respective league, but it's the pyramid. But the other thing that I wanted to mention is the soccer culture in the United States. People say soft, and I hate the word soft because people throw that word around like, what does that actually mean?
Arizona,
I think
is
a better
soft. That's I can tell you that one for
Go
sure. And any Ohio State team, pretty much since Urban Meyer has left, is soft. That too.
3-Pete, go Pete. No, anyways, let's no, the soft is a weird. I prefer the word pompous, little arrogant, little full of yourself, little no one can touch me. And you know what's interesting when you look at the countries where it can be, but when you look at the way that the rest of the world is when it comes to this game, in Brazil, what the biggest sport is outside of soccer? It's probably mixed martial arts or some sort of combat sport.
Oh yeah.
You look at Mexico, I mean, same way. Even in the UK, boxing is a massive thing. These are tough countries, but these are also players that I feel like they don't, the way that they play and the way that they carry themselves on the field, it is tough, it is relentless, but it's also like nothing is ever given to a lot of these players. Like they're just freaking dogs, man. They're just street fighters the way that they're just intense, and it's just, you see it in the way that they play, and you see it in the way that they're supported, and you see it like, I don't know how that changes. It just doesn't seem like we develop dogs. It doesn't seem like we develop like fighters, man. Like,
in a way,
get in there, dude.
In a way, soccer is a little bit of a rich man's sport. Especially
it is.
The
You're
US.
Right.
Like, obviously, there's some players that come from not great backgrounds, but if we were to look at Christian Pulisic, I mean, he grew up pretty fine. Gio Reyna's dad played for
pro
such a long time.
Yep.
Berhalter, obviously, his dad played for a long time, so he's fine there. But that's not to say
Gio Reyna.
It's not to say that every single player is like that. That's not the point. But some of our key players are like that. And if you go on the flip side to England or Brazil or any of the South Americans, I mean, if you look at the majority of their players, they all come from very poor areas, from like the favelas?
The favelas. The favelas.
Appreciate the correction.
Yeah.
But
I got you.
That happens. So that is something that is a little bit interesting. Why do you think there's so many like dogs in basketball and football in America? Because not all of them come from great upbringings. Like Bam Adebayo had
some of them do. Yeah. And some of them do.
But
like,
the majority
some of them come
don't.
from,
Like
right.
Curry, obviously that's a different story. But Bam Adebayo, when he was at Kentucky, Calipari was like, why in the world is your background on your phone a trailer? And he goes, this reminds me every day about where I come from. And this is what my mom and I had to grow up in, and I just don't want her to live that way. So, and for the most
Draymond
part,
Green coming from Sag Nasty. I mean,
exactly,
a lot of these guys came from not good areas.
American football and basketball players, I would say, come from a little bit of a tougher upbringing than the majority of soccer players. Like Diego Luna, that's a different one. That's a different story.
They had to fight.
Some of the dual nationals, I'm sure that's a different story. Maybe Flo, Jermaine Jones back in the day, Eunice Musa. Some of that might be a little bit of a different upbringing. I would agree with that part. But for the majority of our American-grown players, I mean, Clint Dempsey is a different story. I mean, that's a great story if you ever want to listen. That's a little bit sad as well. But no, that for the most part, most of our players come from I don't want to say a silver spoon in their mouth, because I don't think that's true, but they come from a good upbringing, is what I would say. And you don't have that edge as the majority of maybe a Brazilian soccer player does, or an Argentinian soccer player, or an Englishman. So no, I think that we are lacking that a little bit.
Yeah. And it's people are like, well, Americans are all about physicality. That's not what the sport is about. I think it's very much about physicality, but more than that, it's about mentality.
They're just not killing each other like they do in football.
Exactly. Yeah. You're just not lining a dude up downfield. Yeah, exactly.
You're not running 10 yards full sprint across the field to go just spear a dude into the chest. That's just not soccer.
I will say the most pleasurable experience, and I'll get to a break here in a second. Most pleasurable experience I've ever had in sports was being on kickoff team in football, because that's as close as you'll ever get to being like the cavalry, like running downfield. Like you just
dudes running full sprint 40 yards down the field to just go hit somebody. No, that
just pick out who you want to. Just pick out who you want to run over. Who it is, whatever. But you got to stay lane disciplined. Otherwise, the guy will get by you. And we've had a few of those. But anyways, let's take a break here on Inside the Game. We come back, we'll continue the soccer conversation. I think we're rolling along here. We will get to the national championship and talking about that as well. But first, let's tell you about Barca Academy, proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model, same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30 or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I sing my song Grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
Talking about some footy here on Inside the Game, or at least I think it should be called footy. I feel like that's a good alternative, as we talked about.
Yeah,
welcome back in, Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky. Any updated comments? Anything else Schrock has to say in the chat? I'm sure I don't know if he's as much on his rage baiting stuff here today, but I know he's always got something to say.
No, but I did forget to mention this. That's the $1 billion complex for Inter Miami.
Woo!
That
Goodness
is
gracious.
so you see the stadium there. See some of the hotels, some of the training grounds. Maybe they do some tournaments there. But yeah, that is what the $1 billion complex looks like in Inter Miami. And David Beckham was talking about this. He said this was like one of his biggest goals ever, is to develop something like this, and now it's finally here. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
the $1 billion
wild, man.
complex.
Yeah, you see all the training fields off to the right there. You got all your all the facilities. Looks like the housing complexes. I'm sure they'll probably house players there too,
Maybe
which
their
is
academies,
so nice. Yeah, I mean, just to live there and be able to have everything right there. Wow, that's state of the art. That's like you said, the poster child, man, and they have been. If they're like the New York Yankees of the MLS, they are the team. Hopefully, everybody else can start kind of building off that. So, no, that's sick, man. If you've never been to Miami, I would recommend definitely going down and visiting. It's the water's a different shade of blue. The air feels great. Shrock can tell you a little bit about Miami. Him and I actually drove down to Miami. We drove to Miami. We didn't fly to Miami. We drove my old black Volkswagen all the way down there. And that was an experience for sure. So
we had a TikTok chat come in from Kevin Wright, and he says, "Did you see what Landon Donovan said about fixing youth soccer?" Yes, we did, Kevin. We talked about it for about 20 minutes or so. You can head over to our. I mean, I don't know if you can't. No, you can't read. You can't
yeah, I'm gonna be posting up the clips. Yeah, our YouTube too. I'm gonna be putting up the long form conversation.
You're all good, my man.
No, you're good.
No, we appreciate the time for stopping in on the show. But yeah, no,
Absolutely.
if you want to head over to our YouTube channel, National Soccer Network, we're still live on it, so you'll see the live video. You can just hop on that. You can rewind it back like 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, Kevin, I do know I echo really bad on TikTok. I don't know why, but if you head over to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff, I don't have an echo. I do not understand what's going on with TikTok. So yeah, head over to our YouTube channel and rewind it there and see that. But
it's funny,
we'll post the short form videos as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'll be getting those up. I saw a comment though over the weekend that said, sometimes I just wish Americans who didn't understand the sport just allowed experts to speak, brought them onto their shows and allowed them to talk. Well, I'm going to let our resident expert sound off about Arsenal a little bit because apparently they might be toast. So Ryan, go ahead, do your thing.
Arsenal. Okay, so this is where I had a difference. Again, did not watch the game because I had to help with yard work. I went for a run because it was nice outside. Then there was a tornado warning, so I had to hurry up on the run. And there was like 8 tornado. There's not 8, maybe like 5 tornado warnings in the matter of like 10 minutes in Metro Detroit. It was insane. But I was also fixated on something else. I think a little bit more important than an FA Cup quarterfinal against Southampton. I was kind of fixated on the Final Four game that was happening a little bit later on in the day, obviously. So, no, about the whole Arsenal thing, I mean, look, I've seen us win the FA Cup time and time again. It's nothing new to me. I've seen the worst team in Arsenal history win a damn FA Cup. The social experiment squad of 2020. That team won an FA Cup. I've seen it all in terms of the FA Cup. To be honest with you, I could care less about this competition anymore. Obviously, yeah, I want to win it. Sure, Arsenal gets $2 million for winning it all. Sick, man. But if everyone's talking about the whole, like, you want the treble, the quadruple, all that fun stuff, yeah, I would get that. But at the same time, there's a bigger prize in front of me that has my full attention. And I will get locked back into Arsenal probably midweek this week. I got to get through tonight and mostly tomorrow as well, depending on the results. All tonight depends on tomorrow's. Like, all creates tomorrow's mood. I'm just saying, creates tomorrow's mood. But all I'm saying is, in terms of the Arsenal thing, I said back a couple weeks ago, the whole, like, you win the Carabao Cup, you win it all. I've said that, and I will still stick by that. And then I look at what City's been doing. They thrashed Liverpool 4-0 in the FA Cup, and Arsenal loses to Southampton. Again, when you don't play the full starter, sometimes these things happen, and I don't know why we don't do this. Would I say we're in trouble yet? No, not yet, because it depends what the weekend looks like and what the Champions League looks like. To be honest with you guys, I haven't paid attention at all to the Arsenal schedule. Okay, we play tomorrow against... God, come on! They play tomorrow in the Champions League? Oh, my God. That means I got to lock back in by tomorrow. God, that's not what I was hoping for. Then they play Saturday against Bournemouth, and they play... Okay, so I will lock back in tomorrow. After the National Championship game. But, I mean, for the love, why do they have to play?
Yeah.
So, okay, So I haven't been locked in. I wouldn't say we're in trouble yet. Did we have a couple bad results there back-to-back in cup games? Yeah. But ultimately, it didn't hurt us in the things that truly matter to me, which is a Premier League and in a Champions League. Obviously, I would love for Arsenal one day win a treble or win a quadruple, be the greatest soccer team of all time. Obviously, I want that. But at the same time, I haven't seen us win a Premier League or win a Champions League. That is first on my mind. I have seen, let's see, Hull, Aston Villa, Chelsea, and then obviously Chelsea again. So I've seen us win 4 FA Cups. I'm okay if we don't make a final. I'm okay. I'm okay if we don't win one. I'm okay with that. What I want is a Premier League title or a Champions League title. That's all I want. I want one of those. If we lose in the FA Cup, I don't care. Did they play particularly well? Probably not. But it doesn't matter to me right now. I want the big prize. It's like with Michigan basketball right now. If you were to ask me, would you trade the Big Ten championship, the Big Ten tournament championship, rather, because they lost in the finals, to win a national championship? Hell yeah, I'd rather win a national championship. I want the big prize. And when it comes to Arsenal, I want the big prize. I want the Premier League title. I want the Champions League title. That's what I want. To the FA Cup, losing a quarterfinal to a championship side, I ain't losing sleep over it. What I'll lose sleep over is if we don't win a Premier League or we don't win a Champions League when we have a golden opportunity to do so. That's what I'll lose sleep over. But for right now, I do not care about the damn FA Cup. If I've seen a social experiment squad win a FA Cup, it don't mean shit to me anymore because I've seen the worst team in Arsenal history win it. And that impacted so much more because we needed the money to begin with because that was the whole COVID time and we needed money. And we got it done and we beat the Champions League winner Chelsea, and then we beat Pep Guardiola. Like that makes no sense how we won all that. Makes zero sense, but we won it. So what? If the best Arsenal side ever doesn't win it, I don't care, man. I don't. Are they in trouble? Sure. But to be honest with you, I won't know until tomorrow, until we put the actual big boys out there and we play a proper way. And Michigan's got to win a national championship first. So
it's like winning a conference championship to winning a national championship. I guess if there's a way of comparing that. No, you're absolutely right. 100%.
If for the Tigers, for instance, if they were obviously the massive collapse last year, if they were to win, if they were to lose the division, but it meant they made a World Series, hell yeah, I would have done that. Would it mean we'd probably lose all 4 games like we typically do? Probably. But
maybe.
Hey, I don't mind getting there every now and again just to get our doors blown off. That's fine.
Oh man.
At least it creates some good talking points for about a week and a half.
Yep. And to our European listeners, the American teams that Ryan and I are fans of have this reputation of getting to the big game and then choking in the big game. Now fortunately, we've seen one of them win the big game just a couple of years ago, and that sent me into an emotional spiral that I've never quite experienced before in my life.
I have never gone to bed smiling before, and I did that night. I went to bed
That's kind of sad. You've never gone to bed smiling ever?
No, like I'm sleeping there and I'm smiling as I'm sleeping. Like I've never had that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I had a grin from like ear to ear while I'm falling asleep. Like who does that? That's weird.
I'm surprised my neighbors didn't call the cops on me during the Alabama game. After that stop on the 4th and goal, I ran outside and I just kept yelling, "Scared of who?" And I was walking up and down the street because people, like, the whole thing on social media was, "Oh, Michigan's scared. Oh, Michigan's going to get rolled over by Bama. Oh," I'm like, "Scared of who?" And then our neighbors who are big Sparty fans, I'm like, "You can keep your 35-0. We're good over here." And I walked back inside.
What was it? For that Alabama game, I was just prepared for us to lose. Like, that's what, like, looking at
everybody
TCU,
was. Everybody
looking
was.
at Georgia,
Yeah.
I was just like,
yes.
Okay, that's expected, man. We're going to lose a game. Hey, as long as we just keep it kind of competitive for a little bit, I'll be happy. Like, that's fine.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, I get to the fourth quarter, and it's like, oh, my God. Like, at the end of the game, it's we like, could win. Okay, overtime. Like, but I will say, before we get into the basketball conversation, I will say about Arsenal, this year, it feels different. It feels different to this team. I don't know why, but it feels different. Like, I've had certain feelings going into games, and it's the same feeling I had against Arizona It's the same feeling I had against Michigan State this year in basketball the first time when it was like the top 10 matchup. Like, oh my God, this is going to be insane. And then
didn't we both pick MSU?
We did, but after the show, I felt a different way. Like I started going up to Mount Pleasant. I'm like, dude, they're gonna win this thing. Like I don't know what it is, but they're gonna win. And the same thing with the Michigan-Washington National Championship. I'm like, dude, they're gonna win this thing. And it's the same
after
feeling
Bama,
I have. Like these feelings, for me personally, don't happen that often. But there's
I'm a pessimist. Yes,
a couple times in my life where I'm like, you know what? They're going to win this thing. They're going to win this game. I don't know why, but I felt going into air, like, I told you what I told you off air right before we headed for the weekend on Friday. I told you, like, I still feel that way about Michigan. I still feel that way. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, if it comes true, I'll tell you about it tomorrow, how I felt about Michigan on Friday. But going into the Arizona game, I was like, dude, they're going to win this thing. They're winning. I don't know why, but they're winning. But when it comes to Arsenal, I'm like, they're winning the Prem. I don't know what it is, but they're winning it. Like, even despite that Man City loss, I'm like, they're winning this thing. I don't know what it is, but I think they're winning this thing.
Sometimes you just have a Team of Destiny vibe. Before we get into Final Four talk, I did want to bring up this final point that you have
real quick.
on the soccer.
Kevin, who made his way to the YouTube chat. Shout out, Kevin. We will get to this, but he says, so regarding the basketball championship, I just hate that it starts so late. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it, my man.
Got no problem with the women's national championship being on a Saturday. Got or a Sunday. No issue with that at all. But right, why can't we put this in a anywhere more convenient? Why is every championship? You know what I
Kevin,
mean? Make it at 8 a.m. I almost prefer that.
Kevin, I can tell you're a San Francisco fan because your TikTok photo has the Giants and the Niners, and your YouTube profile picture has a Niners on it. Because we, on the Midwest, go ours. Dude, Kevin. This guy Kevin is, love this guy today. But Kevin, this is a question for you. Because we've talked about this for the past couple of years.
Is Kevin, hold on a sec. Is Kevin a Buckeye?
I don't know if Kevin is a Buckeye fan.
Okay. All right.
Schrock hopping in there. Yes. Why does it have to be 8-something? Kevin, it seems like you're a West Coast guy. I'm assuming that just based on your profile pictures. Correct me if I'm wrong.
All right.
But we talk about here in the Midwest. It's happened a long time. They say college basketball, the West Coast does not care about college basketball as much as it does in the Midwest. I would like you to answer that question for me. He says, I have 11-year-olds, and there's no way they can even watch this game. Okay. But no, please, I don't know if you're from the West Coast, but based on your profile pictures, I'm assuming, I could be wrong. My mom told me not to assume things, but I'm just going to assume that.
Yeah, assuming makes an ass of you and me for sure. But no, this final point that you brought up, no, I was just curious. You talked about Mauricio Pochettino, and obviously he's been a focus of our conversations as we get closer to the World Cup and exactly what's going to happen and why we brought him in. But apparently Poch is saying he wants to stay with the United States. This coming recently, he said this, I believe, in an interview. I don't know what you saw, Ryan, but apparently plans on sticking with the U.S.
Okay, real quick. Kevin is from Northern California, but he lives in Florida. He is a Gator. Kevin, just let you know, I don't know if you knew about this, but Michigan football could be in the same category. Michigan athletics, I should say, could be in the same category as your Florida Gators in 06 to 08, winning a football national championship and a basketball national championship within 3 years. I know you guys obviously have won four. Both won 2 national championships, but they could be in the same company. No, to answer your question.
Well, and I like when Florida football is good. College football is better when Florida is good. So hopefully Florida can get back
they were
to
good
even
back
footing
in the day.
In football terms.
That
they were
documentary
really
was
good.
insane.
Tebow. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
The Pochettino question. He wants to stay. Nate, I still believe that this guy is leaving in November, October. I still firmly believe that. I think that he's gone just because I think this guy. Look, I think it is eventually everyone's dream to manage. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw the whole Jurgen Loh thing this weekend, but I forget what country it is, the former Germany manager. But he is on what is it? He's on an emergency contract for some team, for some country, that he is in a specific World Cup contract. I know I'm getting off topic here, but I forget what country it is. maybe I'll find out here in the commercial break. But he is potentially on a emergency contract, and I say this because there's a couple managers, Pep included, Jose Mourinho. We see Carlo Ancelotti now, Pochettino now. That there's like at some point, managers and players want to be a part of a World Cup. They want to be a part of a World Cup, whatever nation that is. Some want to be their home country, like Jose Mourinho. Pochettino's like, okay, well, the U.S. is going to give me this amount of money. Yeah, heck yeah, USA. So, like, obviously, that's a thing. But I'm looking at it, and I think this guy, his heart is back. He wants to be back in Europe managing club teams. That's where he's made the most of his money. Shout out Southampton, by the way. That's where he managed. And who is that Loudon coach that we had on who's part of the Southampton? That guy, too. Shout out him.
Oh, yes.
Anthony Limbrick. That's his name. Anthony Limbrick. Shout out him.
Yep.
But he says the potential is massive here. And I would agree with that. I think the potential for soccer in America is massive. Whether that gets there or not, that's to be seen because of all the different options we have in terms of sports and what everyone likes. But I think Pochettino's full of shit on this thing. This guy wants to go back to Europe and manage. He wants to go to Real Madrid. He wants to go to Man United. He wants to go to a Man City. Like, I get it, Poch. I know you're saying the right things, and you didn't even shoot down the Real Madrid comment like a month ago, so I don't even know why you're even saying this. I get it. He goes, the potential is massive. Poch, we know you want to be out of here. We know you want to say you've managed in a World Cup, which is fine, because I would love to be a part of a World Cup myself too. But no, you want to go back. Kevin said that is true. I do not have a team for college from California because it's just not even an issue there. So yeah, the West Coast doesn't care about college. It's like a show. I mean, USC football.
I mean, UCLA was like the most dominant college basketball program for a long time there, but that was like way back when. So
Lou
it's
Alcindor was still hooping back in the day.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's changed. But
no, Poch is full of shit, man.
There's a reason why Dusty May recently said, I'm not addressing any sort of rumors when it comes to the North Carolina job. I'm not answering any questions as it comes to new jobs.
The
minute you say anything even relatively the media is going to absolutely run with that. And so the thing with Mauricio Pochettino that's confusing to me is he's never really been like, I'm not going to answer that. He's been wishy-washy in the way that we've seen two different answers to different things, right? Well, I'm not shooting it down. I'm considering it. And now a couple of weeks later, I'm not going to leave. I'm here for the long run. So I would just advise Mauricio Pochettino to just stop answering those questions. Okay, the accepted belief between you and me, and I think it's an accurate one, is that the U.S., from what we have and the amount of issues that we have in trying to build this team into being actually competitive, and we know how big the gap is. We've seen it. We just saw it against Portugal. We saw it against Belgium. In order to close that gap is going to take years and years and years of hard work and really trying to get this team and this program moving in the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight. And yet you have these tremendous opportunities to get back in the top leagues in the world where you've had a lot of success. I just feel like his resume doesn't speak to someone who's a long-term option to build USA Soccer to a point to where we can be competitive. I don't think he'd be willing to be in for the long haul, at least not that long. Did someone say something? Something's cracking you up.
We got a couple comments to clean up real quick. Parker says, we rock. He just said, just got word that our first pitch at Fenway is sold out. 37,000 people. Okay. Just don't pull a 50 cent and throw the baseball like that. Just don't pull a 50 cent.
Actually, just kick
Brewers, tonight. So, big game for them.
The Brew Crew.
And then Schrock comes in and says, it's all about Cal State Fullerton baseball and UC Santa Barbara, baby. And then Kevin said that was before my time. So, yeah, again, that answers the West Coast thing. But yeah, no,
baseball. Schrock's got a point. They're pretty good at baseball out there. But, I will say.
I just think Poch is still just full of shit. To be honest with you, Nate, I would like at one point or at some time, I would like BJ Callahan to be the full-time manager for the men's national team. I think what he did during his brief stints as interim, like, dude, this guy was taking over just a shitstorm, and this guy leveled the ship.
Yeah.
Played some pretty good. I would say they played pretty intriguing ball. I would say myself, but I mean, again, what he's done with Nashville, I think is a very good thing. And for all the people that are like, we got to have a homegrown manager to manage our national team, that doesn't mean anything because we don't have the managers to do that.
It's not about homegrown. It's about who is in for the long haul.
Yeah,
and I don't mean like one cycle. I don't mean like a couple of years. That's not going to do it. I'm talking the long haul, which is we haven't had that. Like USA Soccer has not been able to lock down a manager that has been with us for the long haul. Greg Berhalter was great in for a short stint of time, and then he overstayed his welcome. Mauricio Pochettino is not someone, again, with his resume and his connections and the amount of clubs that want him to bring their team back to relevancy. He's not going to be a long haul option. I don't give a damn where you're born. That doesn't make any difference to me whatsoever. You can learn the American game. You can bring the knowledge that you were born and raised with wherever you came from to the American game and bring us to a point to where we're competitive. But do I believe Mauricio Pochettino is in for the long haul? No, because if he was, he would have been shooting these things down long before you and I ever started having this conversation.
So
long before.
So let's go over a little bit of history. So since 2000, again, so basically since 2007, but I'm just counting since I've been watching since 2010 was the same manager. We've had 9 different managers from 2010 to 2026. And obviously, I didn't even count the different stint Greg Berhalter had in that time frame there. So Bob Bradley from 2007 to 2011, I would say he was probably in the long haul for a minute there because he was an American. Yeah. His kid was on the team, World Cup, all that fun stuff. Jurgen Klinsmann for 5 years. I thought Jurgen would probably be a long-term guy, but again, the whole thing leading up to 2018, you had to make a switch there. You just had to. Bruce Arena, forgot about him. He was there for a year, and then I think he just left right after the World Cup debacle. Then in 2017, 2018, Dave Sarachan. I don't even remember that guy's name. That was a point probably in my USA Soccer watching career where I was like, dude, this sucks. Then Berhalter, obviously, from 2018 to 2022. Then that whole debacle. And then you had Anthony Hudson fill in for 5 games, rather. And then BJ Callahan, the legend himself, 4 wins, 3 draws, no losses, a goal difference of plus 17. He scored 21 goals in 7 games. Give that man love, BJ Ball. Pause.
Give him his flowers.
And then Greg Berhalter, obviously, for the Copa America, that was bad. And then you had Mikey Varas fill in, and then you had Mauricio Pochettino. And you're right, man. There has not been consistent managerial presence for this men's national team. And I look at, Kevin, I'm so excited for the 2026 World Cup, but USA does not have it together. I would agree with both of those statements. I would agree that they don't have it together, and I'm excited. So 2 for 2 there, Kevin. Yeah. He also says, look how great Emma Hayes is on the women's side. We need somebody like that, already has success, but all in on the USA. I think that's a good point because Emma Hayes, I don't think managed internationally up to that point, but she's been a manager before. Mm-hmm. But she's locked in on this U.S. women's national team. I think she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I think she's embraced the Americanism side of it. I think she's really, she's a great players manager, and you're right. I think she's in it. Of course, I think it makes it a little bit easier to be in it for the long haul if you already have the foundation that USA Women's Soccer had. I will admit, like, you're not inheriting the mess that you inherit if you come over to the men's side, which is something that, again, is hard for someone like Mauricio Pochettino because, again, the issues that he's dealing with as a manager for the U.S. men's national team are far different. And I know the international responsibilities in general are just different, but the set of issues that he's dealing with USA Soccer are probably far different than what he's dealing with in any other position, including those club positions, right? And so I look at Mauricio Pochettino and I look at Emma Hayes. Emma Hayes gives off to someone of the feeling of someone who wants to be there for the long haul because she realizes what she has. Mauricio Pochettino, I mean, if we end up, again, getting grouped or get embarrassed or something else happens, is Pochettino really looking at this country and going, oh, yeah, hey, this is, we have a lot of potential here. We could still be something. No, man. I mean, I think after that, it's like in terms of just preserving his own career and building his name up and getting back into it. No, I would absolutely look to the club scene. So It is, but you look at any successful or non-successful franchise, it's the same exact thing. It's the coaching carousel that never really stops, and that's where we are with USA Soccer. We just haven't found, and also I think a lot of it comes down to patience too. I think patience runs thin because we're so desperate to just finally realize the potential that we do have, but just can't get there. But
yeah,
maybe it's just a feeling, Ryan. Maybe it's just a feeling that I have that Mauricio Pochettino is not going to be a long-term option for the U.S. men's national team. All I know is that it's going to take some time, and I know time is ridiculous because, again, how much more time do you need? But the set of problems is far different than any other team.
Yeah, I look at, let's see, Didier Deschamps was there for a long time. Dude, I love saying that name. By the way. And then and then what does France do? They're like, yeah, let's just bring in the other great French manager who's won like 6 Champions Leagues, and Zinedine Zidane. Jurgen Loh was there for a long time with Germany, and obviously I think Germany hasn't been all that great. And I think those are the only 2 managers that have been there for a long time. Because Argentina was going through manager after manager after manager before they landed on the current guy, which I'm blanking on his name. Like Diego Maradona was a manager at one point. But like you look at the U.S. women's national team, from their aspect, I mean, Vlatko Andonovski, he was there for a long time. Jill Ellis was there for 2 World Cup cycles when they won both.
Yep.
And then from what I remember, Pia Sundhage, again, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she was there for a long time as well.
It takes a while to develop an identity, and then that is the one missing component of this men's national team that we've talked about this entire time, is that we are missing a team identity. As a country, we're missing it, right? Because, again, you look at the Spains, Germanys, all these other places, they have a certain signature way that they play the game. Like, culturally speaking, I wouldn't say they all play it, but like they all have their way of playing. They have their set identity. We don't have that. And so someone like Pochettino, I could see where USA Soccer would go, hey, this is a guy who can be an identity former, but is he someone that is going to stick around? Again, that is the main question that's weighing on my mind, and I just don't know. And even if we do well at the World Cup, he's a highly sought after man, and there's going to be a lot of financial opportunities and a lot of other things that are going to come on the horizon. So no, man, I mean, even if it's just the one World Cup, you just don't want to get embarrassed. Just go put a good product on the field, and then we'll move on and we'll find someone who can maybe help us move forward. But let's take a break and get into the Final Four on the other end. How do you feel?
Yeah, let's do it.
Deal? All right, sounds good. Man City Soccer Camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the U.S., open to boys and girls of all skill levels. These camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. 3 years ago, 'twas the night before the college football semifinal, aka the Rose Bowl, which is synonymous with Michigan football.
3 years and
in a lot of
3
ways.
months and 5 days.
Yep. Before that game, Ryan, myself, and every other Michigan football fan on the planet probably went to bed terrified of one thing and one thing only, and that is Nick Saban. Because I don't care what team you put Nick Saban on as the head coach in college football, he's going to find a way to win. He's the greatest college football head coach of all time. And when you go up against someone who is easily in the Hall of Fame and who will go down as one of the greatest of all time, you understand one thing, and that is you are going to have a fight on your hands. You're going to have a dogfight on your hands. This is not going to be a game that we're going to walk through. And a lot of us, to what you said earlier, Ryan, and I think you confirm a lot of it, and I'm man enough to say it, we probably thought we thought we were going to lose that game.
Yep.
And it was because Michigan had developed a reputation of, not just in football, right, in all the other sports, of getting to the big game and finding a way to choke it away. On one end, right? So you have the PTSD of that. But on the other end, again, when you know you're going up against a Hall of Fame head coach, those thoughts and those feelings really kind of sneak into your head about, we can be as good as we are. It's still not going to matter because this is going to be a ball game all the way to the end. And so when I hear people talk about how, well, Michigan's just going to run through UConn, well, this is just going to be another example of, I know what we did against Arizona. That was the most thoroughly dominant Final Four performance I've ever seen in my life, and I'm sure there's an argument there, the most thoroughly dominant Final Four in the history of the sport. But you didn't have Dan Hurley on the other side. And I have so much respect for what Dan
Tommy
Hurley
Lloyd
has done at UConn. Tommy Lloyd, which is
too
great
worried
head
about
coach.
an
I'm not
UNC job.
Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from Tommy Lloyd, but the intensity and the respect and the way that Dan Hurley runs his program is what I think Michigan State thinks they are with Tom Izzo. And I don't mean that to just be a stray for Michigan State here on today's show, but it's exactly what it is, and that's Dan Hurley knows how to win the big game. Dan Hurley has been there. He has done that. And I said they were a better program than Duke, and people were like, whoa, I would push back on that.
They have more national titles.
They have more national titles. But the way that they operate in the tournament, and especially the last decade, I would certainly argue that UConn has been the better program. Dan Hurley is the most respected coach in the country, in my opinion. I know that he's theatrics. I know all those things maybe rub off on people the wrong way. You know, the nose wag with the referee at the very end of the game was certainly one of the more interesting photos in arguably college basketball history. But there's so much respect for what he can do in this program and what this team is. Yeah, matchup-wise, do they stack up against Michigan? No, I don't think so. On paper, I think this is a game that Michigan should easily be able to handle. But never count Dan Hurley out. I will never count Dan Hurley out, ever.
Yeah, I think a lot of Michigan fans are getting a little high on the supply, and I mean, rightfully so. I mean, you beat supposedly, statistically, the greatest team of all time, just in the KenPom rankings and the numbers. You beat them by 30 without your best player for the majority of the game. I think he played, I mean, to be honest with you, he played like 4 real minutes. Yaxel did. The other ones where he was just wobbling around, knocks down a couple threes. I'm like, okay, Yaxel, I guess that's just our night. But I think that, again, I think you mentioned a good points. UConn does have more national championships than Duke, which is crazy, 6-5. But there's a couple of reasons why I don't think you should take UConn lightly at all if you're Michigan. Dan Hurley, 2-0 in national championship games. I think he's 20-5 all time in March Madness games, period. So this guy knows how to win. Another reason what I would say is they have championship DNA. Dusty May mentioned that. They've a couple players, not all, but a couple players were on the last national championship team. Caravan's been on both. And then you look at Michigan. I mean, none of them have ever won a national championship. Michigan has won one since 1989. And UConn itself has not won a national or has not lost a national championship game ever. They're 6-0. Michigan's like 1-6 themselves. I don't know the exact number, but they've lost a ton.
Yeah.
And UConn, I get it. Michigan is bigger. They have more size. their depth, I think, could maybe be hindered a little bit depending on how much Yaxel wants to play. You already know LJ Kaysen's out for the year anyway, but they've been living with that for a couple of months. And then even a guy I thought might play off the bench a little bit more, Winters Grady, he's out for the year as well. So I just look at this game, and I don't think you can tread this team lightly because it's going to be a dogfight. And I understand what the spread is. I understand what Vegas is saying. But at the same time, you're supposed to, in order to beat the best, you got to beat the best. In order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And Dan Hurley has set that standard for himself and the UConn program in all of college basketball. And he has a lucky suit. And you know what this guy's thinking. He turned, like, I think that there's like a level of delusion that players and head coaches get into before a game just to give themselves that little bit of an edge to win stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Dan Hurley has got the biggest tornado / hurricane / earthquake combined, that he's got this ball of delusion with all this combined heading to in his head and his team's head, that they're like, okay, all right, Michigan's the greatest team of all time. Let's beat them. They haven't won anything. They've
it is
anything. And I will say, I think Dustin May has already mentioned that to his team just in videos. He's like, we haven't won anything yet. So I just don't think you can take this UConn team lightly at all.
Yeah. Dusty is not as intense in the media as he is in the huddles. And we've seen that. I've seen those videos. He's very intense. But to your point, the most successful coaches, in my opinion, and Saban even talked about this once upon a time, is like, if you are able to convince that locker room that is the world against us,
help 2023
you're already halfway there, right? And sometimes you need to have a little bit of a screw loose in order to be successful. And more often than not, you need to have a little bit of a screw loose in order to convince people to follow you, because you have to be so charismatically out of this world to convince people like, hold on, I'll get behind you. And the thing is with Dan Hurley is like, I would go into war with that guy for sure. And I'm sure he probably has something cooked up before the game that he's going to say that is going to make that group want to run through a wall, because that's just the kind of coach that he is. But I mean, just watch the videos of his practices, watch the videos of the other stuff that he does. I think this is he's proven himself time and time again. 2 for 2 in national championships, looking for the three-peat. So anyways, that was my big point. You know, you just can't sleep on Dan Hurley. I know what this Michigan team is. I know that this is the most complete basketball team I've ever seen wear maize and blue. You could even say in the Big Ten that in my lifetime. But it doesn't matter if you don't win this one. So, I mean, some of the other concerns for Michigan, obviously we know the history, but the ankle, I think, is a big concern when it comes to Yaxel. He made a couple of big shots, Ryan, but he did not look good in that game moving around. I mean, you saw the way that he was moving around the court. He didn't look like Yaxel. And I mean, if he's going to be a spot-up shooter, fine. He's a good enough shooter. I'm okay with that if we just find him in spot-up opportunities. But, you know, is he used more as a distraction than anything else? Because if you have big Yaxel out there, you're going to stretch out the defense quite a bit, because he's still got to be on top of him, right? But and you also can't have a guard on him, so it creates mismatches.
I think there's two things about the whole Yaxel situation. One, I just think that he was kind of just shot. Like, he was like, okay, I'm not diving for anything. Like, I'm not going balls to the wall here, because.
But it's not just the ankle; it's the MCL too, which is, I guess,
everything came back clean from the MRI, from what I was reading, and what the trainer said himself. He's like, it's just really up to if Yaxel wants to play in it, and he's gonna. If he told his mom, he's like, yeah, I'm disagreeing with you. I'm playing in this game against Arizona. I think he's going to play regardless. So I think he's fine in the way he was moving on his Instagram live or his TikTok live yesterday. He was like bending around, squatting. I'm like, okay, I think he might be okay. And the way he was shooting yesterday in practice, the way he was moving in practice, I think he'll be okay. The only issue is that he has like that explosive step that no one else on the court has, and I don't know if he's going to necessarily have that. And then on the flip side, if I'm looking at UConn might just try to attack him the whole time. Like, they're like, okay, he's a little bit limited. He's a little bit limited in terms of what he can move. Let's just go after him. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can get him off his pedestal a little bit. But to be honest with you, Nate, if Elliot Cadeau and Trey McKinney are hooping, I don't know if there's necessarily anyone in this country that can stop him, because Mara is going to be dominating down low. Terrace Reed, that, which is still funny to me that Juwan Howard recruited him to Michigan, and he's turned into this. Like, that's just a funny sidebar for myself personally. But I think Michigan should win this game. But like, there's just a lot of they've lost here how many times before, and UConn has won this how many times. But there's just a couple aspects of this game where I think if Michigan is able to get out and run, I think. But most importantly, this is the other part I wanted to mention. Defensively, these kids were locked in on Saturday. How many times did Elliot Cadeau just strip the ball away from someone or get his hands in the mess or take a charge? How many times that happened? Every shot Arizona took was contested. They were in their face. They forced a lot of bad shots. Michigan can do that again tonight. If they can lock down defensively, I think they run away with this thing.
Yeah. The thing that they did to Arizona was exactly the thing that we said needed to happen. They established themselves physically inside. They won the rebounding battle. They didn't allow Arizona to do what they had done all season, which is really just bully teams in the same way that Michigan did. But Michigan met them with that challenge, won the rebounding battle, contested everything. But even some of the uncontested shots were 3-pointers. And listen, I'm okay with that.
And Arizona's not good
at Arizona can't shoot the three. I mean, it was so fun watching all those bricks.
Jesus, turned into a
That's
pastor.
what I'm saying. So, right.
I thought he'd be a lot better.
He's like,
I'm just, Nate. I thought he was going to be a lot better.
Yeah, he was a disappointment. He looked like a freshman, is what he looked like. He looked like a freshman when the lights were bright, and so that's what that was. But they did that to Arizona, and even UConn as a team. I think they shoot 34.6% from 3-point land. This is not a team that's necessarily predicated around jacking up the three. What you have to do is implement yourself physically, again, in rebounding and defense and making sure that those prime opportunities, those good scoring zones where UConn gets a lot of their bread at the bucket, taking away those opportunities. If you can do that, just such a prolific scoring team, Ryan, that in order to beat Michigan, you really have to be able to beat them in a shootout. Because it is at some point it's going to turn into a shootout. Purdue. Yes. Yeah, and Wisconsin did that. Now, mind you, it was mostly one guy, but Purdue was a good shooting team. I mean, you have to, at some point throughout the course of the game, there's going to come a portion where Michigan's going to get hot in terms of you have to be able to match that. And the only thing that I'll say is coming back from that massive deficit, the way that UConn did in this tournament, that's the part to me. And even Dusty said that the other day, like, people were getting on him about like, why were certain players still out there and we were so far ahead of Arizona. He's like, did you not watch the UConn game? Like, did you not watch what that team did against Duke? They exposed that team. And by the way, this is a Duke team that beat Michigan during the regular season. Right. So, I mean, for Dan Hurley to pull off that come from behind victory against Duke, extremely impressive. So, but that's what makes this uneasy to me is they've proven they can erase deficits like that. But I also think Michigan is so much better in terms of the defensive integrity than what Duke was. I think Duke John Shire's defense was terrible. One
thing that does help this makes me feel a little bit better about this UConn matchup is UConn got a lot they wanted inside. They just couldn't make anything. Like, how many missed layups did Illinois have? Yeah. And that's what helps me feel better about this game a little bit is just because how much Illinois was able to get inside. And Michigan's bigs are better than Illinois' bigs. They've already proven it once this year. It was straight BTA from the jump. The only down part of that game was LJ Kaysen got out for the year. But like, if Michigan can get all they want, if Illinois can get all they want inside against UConn, there's nothing that tells me Michigan can't.
Right. Yeah. And they have the pieces to do so. And Mara is such a. The thing is, if you put 20, 30 more, if you put 20, 30, 40 more pounds on that kid, I mean, we're talking about someone not quite to the same skill level as like a Wembanyama, but very much could be like a Zach Edey type prototype in the NBA. And like I said, like the thing that I love is that basketball is going back to the bigs. And I think it's just because humans are getting bigger. They're just like 7'5" now, which you're like, what the hell? Like, I didn't realize we made them that big, but like it's going back to the bigs very much because that's where Michigan wins a lot of their games. To be frank with you, they win it because of their vertical ability. They're just bigger than everybody, but that was the case against Tennessee. It was the case against Bama, although I know Bama kept it tight, but then again, we couldn't hit a free throw to save our lives that game.
But in the first half.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was a team that got hot.
Right. Right, which very well could be the case. Oh, hopefully not for UConn, but no, Mara, he is a prime NBA prospect if you just put a few more pounds on that kid, which I know it's hard to do with that frame, but he can play vertically. I like our chances defensively, but again, I think if Michigan can shoot the way that they've been shooting this whole time, I think we'll be all right. It's just, anxious moments for a couple of Michigan fans that really just have just made a reputation on, 2013, 2018, Dante DiVincenzo. I don't like that guy. I like him for the way he plays in the NBA, but I just don't like him for other reasons. But
obviously
tortured in a lot of ways. So yeah, this is the best opportunity we've had in a long time. And maybe wish it would have been like a Cinderella who made a magical championship run to play in the championship. And no, we get Dan Hurley instead. So, yeah, man. I mean, I suspect Yaxel will still be out there. He'll still be productive. And the truth is, again, even with guys with injuries, you can still use them in different ways, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, I would say we're always nervous. You want to talk about your boy Justin Verlander, how he didn't pitch yesterday because he's hurt? Only like 9 games in the year, and everyone's crashing out about how he didn't play. Dude, he's gonna miss like 12 games. Who cares?
Listen,
he's gonna miss like 3 starts. He's gonna miss 12 games overall, but pitchers don't pitch every single game. So
the most important thing for Tigers fans, I believe, is that JV came back here to retire. And I talked about this with a friend yesterday, and I said it was maybe a little too optimistic to think that he could be a truly core productive piece for this pitching rotation, just simply because he is getting older and he has been more injury prone, and he's 43 years old now, and he's been in this for so long. And I don't understand how some pitchers are able to make such long careers. I mean, we see so many flame out with injuries so early on, but the most important thing for Tigers fans was that he just came back to Detroit to retire. I think it just served as a reminder that this city meant as much to him as we always thought it meant to him, and that he didn't want to go in the first place. He just understood that if he wanted to accomplish the things he wanted to accomplish, it wasn't going to be done in the 3-1-3, at least not during that time, unfortunately, because they missed their window. And so I think the most important thing is that he's back here, but I also want Detroit fans to kind of tamper their expectations a little bit, because guys, he's not the JV of 5 years ago. He's not the JV of 10 years ago. He's not winning us a Cy Young? No, he's not. This is not the Justin Verlander of once upon a time. But the important thing is that he's here. He's going to retire here. And I think that's the most important thing for the Tigers. In terms of the team, I mean, they're a game below 500, lost to the Cardinals the other day. We're too early to really make any assumptions about what this team is going to be in 2026. But anyways, yeah, JV is on the IR. But I think, again, the most important thing for Tigers fans is that he's here. He's happy to be here, and you're still going to get an opportunity before it's all said and done, maybe in the retirement tour this year. And I don't know if that's the plan, but you'll still get an opportunity to go out and watch him and consume it and be a part of it and share in his last season here in Detroit. But let's get the question of the day, Ryan.
All right, guess we're just gonna skip my JV take.
What else? What else? Oh, okay. No,
you don't know baseball.
Hold on. No. Go ahead. It's all
what I'll say is this guy better pitch, because in a couple years he's making $11 million a year. This better not be no Alex Cobb situation where he gets $15 million and guess where he ends up in Grand Rapids for an entire season, and poor Nate doesn't even get to broadcast any of his pitches because he even make it that far in the game. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, them rehabs, I never really go. Well, sometimes I will, but yeah, not all of them. they're just like 20 pitches, get out of there. Interesting. But yeah, let's do it.
That's all I wanted to say is he better not be missing the whole year, because I can't be having an Alex Cobb situation again.
JV on the Whitecaps? Hell yeah, I'm down for it. Let's do it.
The place would be sold out.
Oh, it'd
be rocking from all over
every
there.
Game. Yes, all walks of life, 100%.
Question of the day presented by Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off of that number one smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, what type of dark magic is Kirk Cousins' agent using? Let me just run down the numbers for you real quick. So after his rookie contract in Washington, he gets 2 one-year deals separately worth over $20 million. then makes the big move to the Minnesota Vikings for 3 years, $84 million. Then re-signs with them, making $33 million a year for 2 more years. And then gets franchise tagged, makes $35 million a year. Then goes to Atlanta, plays like a year and a half, makes 4 years, $180 million. Then Kirk Cousins then goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, makes five years, $172 million. And how many playoff wins does this guy have? The same as Marcus Mariota, 1. And he's getting this amount of money to do absolutely nothing. The definition of a mid quarterback, Kirk Cousins is making this amount of money. What is this agent doing?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, he's 37 years old, so do I think that is it is lofty, is ridiculous. I also think like it's the valuation of quarterbacks. Dumb. Well, it's true, but the valuation of quarterbacks just continues to go up too, and these contracts just get more and more gaudy as we go, and this is why it's so important to sign your QBs early, because if you don't sign them early, guess what? The bar just got raised for how much you owe them because the market has been reset at whatever it is, that dollar amount, the first guy that got re-signed. That's why these organizations, it's so important to do it so early. So you look at Cousins, ridiculous amount of money, and obviously a long time, especially that, for being 37. I mean, he's on the doorstep of 40. I don't understand, but let's not take away what Kirk Cousins has done in the NFL, right? Like this is a team sport. I understand that he's a quarterback. He's the guy that calls the shots. I get it. But I mean, the guy nearly has 300
he's from Michigan, the state of
career
Michigan,
touchdowns.
So automatically likes him.
He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. Okay, I realize his last one was 4 years ago, but he was very good with Minnesota. He's just kind of gotten lost in the sauce ever since leaving Minnesota. But I mean, he's tied for the most game-winning drives. He's got 8
Super Bowl, and
he's tied for the most fourth quarter game-winning comebacks in a single season as any quarterback in history. Yeah, but if I were to
championship game,
but if I were to tell you,
he did make one. He lost. He got
if I were to tell you, I'll give you 2 different Michigan State guys. Okay, I'll give you Nick Foles and I'll give you Kirk Cousins. Who are you taking?
Nick Foles. He's got a Super Bowl.
Oh my goodness gracious! You're kidding me, right? With that Eagles team, who was built to win a Super Bowl.
You're telling me the Vikings?
You can't just say
Kirk Cousins had Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson.
I understand, but that team had
Jordan Addison was in the mix.
That team had many more issues to it than what that Eagles roster did in the Super Bowl. Come on, man.
Kirk Cousins has done absolutely nothing in the NFL. He's just a stat patter at this point. That's all he does.
He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. I understand he only has one
Jared
playoff
Goff
win.
A 4-time Pro Bowler? Isn't Matt Stafford a 4-time Pro Bowler?
I know. Like
how many guys are 4-time Pro Bowlers?
I know the ring culture. I get it, but like it is a team sport. I mean, he has a career passer rating of 96.8.
So
like
then
the
he
guy
probably
has been
more than one playoff victory, then, right?
No, he doesn't. To your point, you said
so
that.
He does nothing in the playoffs.
Yes,
and the only. Oh wait, no, he wasn't in the NFC Championship game because that was Case Keenum who threw it. Yeah, that wasn't him. He didn't even make the NFC Championship game. Case Keenum did. Because that was Diggs down the sideline, and then they got blown out by the Eagles. Oh, my God. Jeez, this guy doesn't even win when they get to the NFC Championship game. Oh, my goodness. Case Keenum makes deeper runs than Kirk Cousins does. This guy does nothing.
Hold on.
He lost to Daniel Jones. Kirk Cousins is the most annoying, most mid quarterback of all time. Was that the year Foles became the starter after an injury happened and didn't play a big portion of the year? Foles did win a Super Bowl when Carson Wentz went out, I think week 13 or 14 when they played the Rams, like Jared Goff's Rams. And then Foles took over, and then they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah.
He's got more playoff wins than big old Kirk Cousins. He's just a cringy guy, too, dude. He just so
well,
annoying.
I know you just don't. Yeah,
his voice pisses me off. I don't know what it is, but his voice just pisses me off.
Yeah. No, he is a it's funny if you ever watch that Netflix documentary Quarterback, which I did enjoy, and I know they got a new season of it too, so I got to check that out. But no, he's a unique one. I like Kirk just because
it's Case Keenum throwing the dang thing. It's Case Keenum who dropped back and threw it to Diggs. Yeah. Where Where was Kirk? Where was Kirk Cousins?
Was he? I don't know.
This is 2018 NFC Divisional.
I gotta watch the play again.
Wouldn't that be a factor too that he wasn't as beat up by the time he got to the Super Bowl? I mean, he still played like 8 games. Carson Wentz was like an MVP caliber that year too. It was insane. What's his lone playoff win against then? Do we know? No.
2019 beat the Saints.
Oh, when they had that comeback
Yeah.
and they threw the fade to Thielen in the end zone. Dude, and he had Adam Thielen. How many weapons is this? And he had Dalvin Cook in the backfield. How many weapons does this guy need?
Dude, he
Can't
got
win a thing.
Got the piss beat out of him, man. That's why. Like, you can have great skill position guys, but I don't know. Like the Vikings, we can argue were not as well put together as the Eagles. Like I was just saying, Nick Foles inherited a great team. But yeah,
wow,
two
this
Spartans
guy just
and
got,
Foles and
dude,
Cousins.
this guy is so overrated. This guy's so overrated.
You don't like your Sparties, man. You don't want to give the Sparties credit.
Okay,
That's
all
it is.
He wasn't so annoying. His voice just pisses me off. He sounds like
Hey,
a little
but
kid in middle school, dude. That's what he sounds like. And he
humble,
talks
though.
like way too much and way too long. Like when I'm watching that Netflix documentary, I'm skipping over Kirk Cousins' part because he's so annoying. And then
You gotta admit, the humility is pretty nice though. Like he's a genuinely good guy. Like nobody drives their minivan that they were driving all throughout college for like the first couple of years of their NFL career.
well, he wasn't
Like,
making money in the
that's-
NFL to begin with. He
No,
had a 4-year,
you know,
$2.5 million contract. So yeah, you're not going to
That's
make
not
money.
money. That's not money to you. I could buy a car with that. Are you
It's not
kidding
like
me?
you can just go out there and splurge on a big deal on
Oh,
a big
yeah,
car. If the
but
car
you- I
works,
mean,
the
I
car
could get
works. You
I
drive
can
that
get
thing.
a nice car. I don't have to, I don't live out of a van. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
Patrick
know.
Mahomes is also annoying. Trock, they're all annoying.
Yeah, it sounds
Especially
like Kermit.
Kelly Stafford. She also
Sounds like
pisses me
Kermit.
off. I will say I hate Kelly Stafford more than Kirk
Hey, I'm
Cousins.
Patrick Mahomes.
Can I say that?
Yeah, exactly.
His voice is annoying. Patrick Mahomes' voice is
Hey,
annoying.
everybody.
But anyways, so that'll wrap up episode 264. I did want to work this in. I know I said I would say it earlier in the show, but we will be doing the show tomorrow to recap the national championship for 265. And then for the remainder of the week, we will not be having this live show. However, I'll talk to Ryan a little bit about this, see what we can do, but I wouldn't mind going live for like an hour every day just to talk to people, just to make sure that we stay in it. We're still doing something. But Boss Man will be on vacation and we will be away for the 3 episodes. So Wednesday through Friday, we will not have a show, but still check us out on the National Soccer Network. We're going to have our YouTube shorts up on there. And again, as Ryan talked about, maybe go live on TikTok and chat with the people a little bit. But I would love to get a way in which we can get callers into the show. There's a lot of fun things. I don't know if you listen to Jim Rome at all, but that show is always fun. That's how I know you're young, man. Jim Rome used to be he was like one of the OGs, but sound effects, people calling in, we're going to continue to add more things because obviously you guys continue to get more involved. So we certainly want to do that moving forward. But for episode 264, until we talk to you guys tomorrow about the national championship and hopefully a positive conversation.
Agreed.
This has been 264 here at Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk.